Hello and welcome again to another episode of One Starfish with a very good friend of mine, Monica, today. This lady is absolutely incredible. I'm really excited for our chat today. She runs a trucking company. She started in 2011 down in California. They have 115 trucks now running all regional, and this lady is an absolute beast. And remember, rate, review, subscribe, all of those good things. Thank you so much, Monica, for being on here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that. And you taking your time out of your day, I really thank you.
Well, back at you. So tell us a little bit, you were kind of mentioned you were in brokering before. What got you into starting a trucking company? And as a female, I'm going to say, especially out there in a guy's world, obviously came from trucking myself, so I get that. What kind of started you in there, and how was the first couple of years of your journey?
So I started as a broker years and years and years ago, and we kept having carriers that would drop the ball on us for the almighty dollar. So we decided that I should start a trucking company, and in 2011, Sugar Creek, I purchased from a former employee, and just for the name and the existing DOT so I could hit the ground running. And so, here we are. I started with 3 trucks, and I didn't want to own any of them, and I bought 3 for some other people, and they ended up giving them back for various reasons, and I just kept inquiring and acquiring them from other truckers, and so I just kept growing from there.
So you didn't want to own trucks, and now you have 115?
Yes.
Well, that's kind of a mix there.
Yeah. Like that. Yeah.
Funny, that's awesome. What were some of the hurdles that you found that you've had to overcome, and how did you kind of go through them with your mindset, and what kept you going on the days that were tough?
That's interesting. There are hurdles every single day. And I know you know this more than anybody, because I don't know if your audience is very aware that you are a badass truck driver. You still have your Class A. I know we've talked about that. That's hard to give that up, because that's a badge of honor to be able to get that license, right? Totally every day there's hurdles, but I think in the beginning the hurdles were, getting my name out there and moving forward with, hey, I've got trucks, and just really selling, and really hard to let people know that you have, a capacity of trucks that can haul freight for these people, and then them trusting you to haul it for you, and then it just kind of built from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of hurdles. I don't know. I almost lost everything. Yes, there's a hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. So,
wow. You said you almost lost everything. Tell us a little bit about that. Was that, I don't even know.
So, I at one point had just 10 trucks, and they all broke down at the same time. One of those things where you just didn't expect that, and I didn't see that coming. Rates were very, very low. I was just talking with someone about deregulation. I don't know if you remember that, but back in the day, it was regulated, so you have to publish your rates with the government, and then everyone knew your rates. Now it's, hustle to the bottom. People are trying to undercut. And so I was at that situation where, again, my name wasn't out there long enough to have people really recognize that we were a good carrier. And, with only 10 trucks, it wasn't really, a whole lot of customers that could use us. I always went after big customers before. So we only had 10 to go, at certain locations. And so, I had a truck break down, and then another one, and then, it's not cheap to fix a truck. You're looking at tens of thousands of dollars. And, with the margins as low as they were, it was just too hard to be able to make ends meet. And so I had been slow at paying our truck drivers on Fridays, and then I would pay them Mondays, and I never could ever imagine myself being in that position to short people on payday. I couldn't understand. And then, years later being in trucking, I recognized this is why, so I had a point where I only had 2 people working for me at the time that still trusted me. And I went to a repair shop and asked them if they could let me have them fix one truck at a time, and I would make payments back to them in 4 weeks, and I had one guy that said he would do it. Like most people said no. So one guy did it, and I paid him, first. And then of course I paid my truckers, but so it was one of those where I was, impending doom, and people were like, all right, you need to, go out of business and just start something new. I'm like, that's not right. Owing people money and then starting something new, because that's what people do in this business. And they still use the same.
I work for those people.
Yes. And I was like, no, I have a conscience. I can't do that. So, I just plugged along, and, as a business owner, you get what's left over. So some days there was nothing, and I just kept moving forward because I couldn't see going to work for anybody either. So, that was probably one of the worst moments. There's been plenty, but, that was, the beginning of, oh, this is not fun. Right.
Wow. And you were able to, I guess, get out of your comfort zone and ask for help, which I'm sure is not the easiest thing. I mean, for anybody really, when you're, just asking for help is tough, and being able to ask someone like, hey, can you do this? Are those people still around? I'm curious.
They actually, that repair company, they went, I can't remember. They opened up a business in South America and moved there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a husband and wife team, and they were really good people. They were good to me.
Oh, that's so awesome. And we remember those people that are really good to us throughout the years, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So now you've been building, I mean, since 2011. So that's like 11 years. No, yeah, 11 years, right? Yeah, 11 years. My math here. I use calculators for everything. So about 11 years. What has been like, where do you see it going? What's your vision for the next, 5 years? Where do you want to take this thing?
So for me, I'm a go big or go home type of person. Even within the struggles, you've had to go forward and then backwards, and then you go back at it again. And so I'm at the mind frame that I want to grow my business so that I can help other truckers understand how to run their own businesses. People that just want to drive trucks, that's a different animal than someone who wants to buy a truck and learn how to scale from there. So my vision right now is to double my business this year, and to keep doubling it, and keep growing it. And I'm looking for property to put my trucks on, because even now I bought a I bought a property that I just closed on in November, and that's already too small. So I'm working on, trying to get more and more and more, but I'm fighting with everybody else that is trying to do the same thing. So that's kind of what I'm just trying to do, is take my truckers to a different level than any other trucking company. So I started Mother Trucker in 2018 to try to help educate truckers on how to abide by the laws and the rules, and make sure that they're still compliant so that they can still run their business.
What are some things that you feel sets apart Sugar Creek from other trucking companies?
I think definitely being woman-owned. I don't know of any trucking company. I have not had anyone tell me where a mother and daughter run the business. Like, there are none, and at our size too. So I think also the fact that I'm sure to make sure that we communicate with our customers, let them know from point A to point B where our truckers are located. We over communicate with them so that they know that their freight is handled. So, things do go sideways in this business, but the majority of it, they're well aware of what's going on, and they're told the truth. A lot of people don't. A lot of people lie, and you can't lie, especially these days. You've got your ELDs, you've got your cell phones. I've got trailer tracking, tractor tracking. There's no way that you can make anything up. And I, on the broker side, I had so many carriers lie too, and you had no way to know. And now you can see right into a carrier and see exactly where their truck is at, everything. So that's the part of it that is a little bit easier to see through, and it makes the visibility much better for your customers so that they can see.
Yeah. And I think that's like, I remember when I was trucking and I'd call where I was delivering, and I'd be like, hey, I'm running a little late. Can you stay open like an extra, half an hour, whatever it was? And then they're like, okay. And then I show up and they're like, wow, you're actually here. I'm like, well, I told you. They're like,
Yeah.
a lot of people tell us and they don't show up. I'm like, well, okay. So yeah, I could see that being kind of a thing out there. What do you do differently for your drivers than maybe some other, like in order to have driver retention, which I know is a big, well, at least was a big problem in the trucking industry. I'm guessing it's still a big problem in the trucking industry where people think the grass is always greener at the next door neighbor. What's something that you've done to try to, keep that driver retention?
Yeah, they still do that. The turnover is still huge. From what I was just reading just this past week, it's a 70% turnover rate.
Wow.
Which is huge. In your office staff, it's a different mindset. People don't quit for the almighty dollar the next day, and so when you're in an office type of atmosphere, you talk to everyone all day, every day. Like we just had breakfast together. It's Friday, all of us, we just kind of have like a close-knit family here in the office. And it's difficult when you've got a truck driver who is out there on the dock and they're sitting there next to our competition, and our competition is saying, hey, I'm getting paid $1,000 bonuses. Hey, we've got this, and your guy on the dock was like, really, I need to pay for my family too. So I'm going to go over there. Or you hear about instabilities, you hear half truths. I've started to have meetings with my drivers so that they know, hearing it from me direct, what it is that we're going through, because many times you get out there and it's the game of telephone where they hear it's one thing, and by the time it gets to the end, it's another, and I'm going, I didn't ever say that, so I kind of really cut through the chase right now to be able to keep drivers. It's really one of those things where I can't force anybody to do anything. You're going to either want to work here or you're not, and so I make it to where it's fun, to where they want to work, to where we're helping them as much as possible. And they're not just a number, the Swifts of the world, the big companies, they're just a number. So I don't want them to be treated like they're just a number. And now that we're at the size that we are, it's difficult. But I can't, they have a number, but I don't call them their number. I want to know about their families. I want to know their names. I want to know more than just, hey, thanks for getting the freight from one point to the other. It's more of a community that I'm, cultivating here so that people would want to stay. And offering all of the benefits is something that's difficult because some are 1099. I'm converting some to employees. Then the state in California is telling me that they all have to be, but then they have to have their own tax IDs. So it's very, very calculated, the route that I'm going to take. And I just had a meeting a couple of weeks back about it so that I can know every single driver's desire to what they need in their life so that I can help get them fulfilled in that way. Because some can't manage their taxes, some don't want to manage their taxes, and I've got to get them all in between. So that kind of thing, helping them is helping me retain these drivers because they know that I'm trying to help them, right? Versus just, hey, get in your truck and drive that shit from point A to point B, So
right. That's
a little more fun.
A little more fun. I love that.
Yeah.
So switching gears a little bit, something that I know you're really into. We actually met in a group, Arte, and you're also in Apex. You're in a lot of different, and you might be in other ones that I don't know about, but the associations is something that I've noticed you take very high, is very important to you. Tell us a little bit about like why you find that so important. And some of the other things that you find is the reason that you've been as successful as you are.
I find the group of RTA and Apex, both of them are just superior to anything else out there. And I know there's a lot, so I don't want to insult anybody, but for me, it's worked out that way. Just like you, I know we always connect and sit together because we never can see each other unless you're traveling or I'm traveling. And so we've both gone to two of the events in the last year that RTA had. And I've always been a fan of mentoring, and this was a different concept for me when Arte came about. It's not just mentoring from them. They Andy and Ed do a weekly Zoom call, and we hear it one way. And prior to that, years back, I had been mentored by Robert Kiyosaki's group too. And so it's just something that I've always liked, because it's helping you learn about things that are outside of your regular, scope of business. So in trucking, you can just be laser focused on trucking and then not recognize that the rest of the world is doing things a different way, because you just got so laser focused on it. So for me, I like that, they want you to be the best version of yourself. It's something that I really didn't, articulate and understand. And now a lot of the things that I've done in the processes over the years, like, oh, is that what that's called? So it's kind of like that. But, like you said, I really enjoy just having people that are like-minded, people that are all walks of life, that have completely different businesses, but that we all have the same mindset and we're all there to help one another. And I feel like that is just so important in life. I mean, there isn't anybody that, it's not like a BNI meeting or those meetings where you're trying to cultivate business. It's not that at all. It's just about, how can I help you, Angela? How can I help you, Monica? What can we do? Here's what I think. Here's what works for me. This is what you should do. So it's like, okay, this is what's going to get me to this level to where I can help people also. And we're just taught how to help and grow other people in addition to ourselves. So that, for me, I love that. I love that. Love it, love it, love it.
That's cool. What got you into the whole mentorship, like with Robert and stuff? What started you down that track? Have you always been around that? Were your parents around it, or what? Because some people are like, well, it's not really that important. I'm building a different business. My associations really aren't that important. However, we do talk about that a lot on a lot of the podcasts too, but like, associations are important. What started you down that journey, and how did you feel it really shaped the person you are today?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. I just always have had someone that's been guiding me. My dad was an entrepreneur. He owned several different businesses, completely different. He could have been a Blockbuster. He had multiple video stores. He had coffee chains up in Seattle. He had, multiple different things throughout his life. And, in the end, it was, he was uber successful with doing annuities and life insurance and policies and trusts and things for his clients. And he kind of was this guy that kept guiding me. And I think he passed away in 2013. And, I was like, I don't have that anymore. Like I could just pick up the phone. Hey, Dad, what do you think of this? A 10-minute phone call on the way. And he would just be like, here's how to go from here to here. And here's what I would do. He would talk to me like that. And I didn't have that. And so joining Arate and Apex is something where I can call on people. You message in your Facebook group and someone will answer you, without even having to pick up the phone sometimes, and you get your answers. So you get people that are wanting to help you and something like that. So I've always had that mindset. And same with the Robert Kiyosaki being, he had told me that, he's an excellent mentor. And so going down that route, being able to teach my own kids how to, get out of the rat race is how, he talks about it. But, it's just something that's always just been there. I got lucky where I worked. I know we don't say lucky very often because everything happens for us, right? But I had a boss who also pushed me to get my college education and finish it. And he pushed me, just to be better than what I was. He's like, I can see this. This is what you need to do. Don't give up. I'm like, okay. So I just kept going down that road.
Wow, that's really cool. When your dad passed away, I'm sure that was a really hard time for you. Because you can tell you're really close, just like I am with my dad. How did you, because this is something I do see a lot of people struggle with, is they're building something or whatever, and then something, quote, takes them out. Some emotional thing in their life happens, and it takes them out. What are some things, and they fight it, and sometimes it doesn't, but like, what are some tips, if you remember, that got you through that tough time? Because you're still running a business that was 2 years old, so it's not very old. It would have been in the tough times. Dealing with that, what were some things that got you through that?
That's a good question, because I know a lot of people give up a lot. And it's easy to just throw in the towel and give up and just go get a job. And that's just not me. And I don't know, I think I'm just wired differently than most. And I think most of us in RTA and, Apex, we all feel like we're wired a little bit differently. Giving up is not an option. It's something my dad would say, you fail. A winner is someone who has failed one more time, because after they just, kept hitting walls, hitting walls, and then all of a sudden it starts to work for you. So, I just never had that mindset of quitting, giving up. And I know people do. I literally have people, and I know this too in the business. I don't want to do this anymore. They'll come to you and say, I can't. I don't know how you do it. I've had men cry and just go, I don't know how you do it. I give up. I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to get out of this industry, because it's, people are just beating you up all day, every day. And you just kind of have to know that this is part of life, and you're going to be given challenges. And as long as you know that the bottom line and the end result is way out here, and you don't stop, that's really it. I've hit a lot of walls, a lot of things where I'm like, gosh, I can see why people give up. This is too hard. Even recently, last year, I had several challenges with the DOT and the government and the state and everybody. I'm like, why are they picking on me? I'm like, why me? Why me? Why me? And it's like, you know what? Now I just learned something. I added that to my arsenal of how do I teach somebody else to not go through what I just went through in order to, be a better person. So, I've literally just many times I'm like, go home. And we all have days where you're just like, fuck it, I'm done. I'm going home. I want nothing to do with this. I don't want to be in this business anymore. I can retire tomorrow. Like, woo, I'm out of here. And then you get up the next morning, you're like, it's a beautiful day. I'm grateful to be alive. I just love life. Let's go, forget the prior day. So, that's just kind of one of those things where you can't give up. If you feel like you want to do something in life, don't let something that could be really difficult or devastating, or, it's just your mindset is something that's so powerful that if you really want something bad enough, you'll do what it takes to get there, so that's my reason.
Do you so good. Do you read every day? Do you listen to audio? Do you have a solid morning routine, or not really?
So being in trucking, it's not a solid routine. So I know people are like, yeah, you got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and be at work before everybody gets there. And, I'm 24 hours, so I can't really have that. But, and, last night, even I got a call with somebody had a blowout, and he needed mud flaps and, all this stuff. And that's something that's outside of, being a regimented business. It's not the normal business where you can just work from 8 to 5. So, my regimen isn't so beautiful as most people's, but I'm always listening to podcasts. I've listened to yours. I've listened to Ed, and I'm a big fan of listening to their stuff every day. And there's certain ones I listen to just to get some good mindset information, so that's kind of me.
And that's good. And it's not even about like the routine for sure, but it's like doing it every day. That is a routine that you do it every day.
Yeah. I have to listen. I have to listen, because it kind of makes you feel like you're doing the right thing sometimes, to hear other business owners going through some of the things, the challenges and the happy times that they have too. You're like, oh, that's awesome. You're rooting for all your business owner friends, and
right.
So good to hear all this good stuff.
That's so cool. And something else that I caught out of there was, you said, you go to bed at night, you're like, man, I'm done. And then the morning you're like, wow, it's another day. And I heard someone say, never make a decision when you're emotional or tired, or something like that. I don't remember the exact wording, but something like that. So, you wait till the morning, till the good morning. And then you're like, oh, I can probably do today. I'll just like,
yeah, that's true. It's very true. I had a weakness last summer, and I had gotten really sick with pneumonia, and I was down for like 8 weeks. But the first day I called my coach up in Apex. I'm like, dude, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm killing myself. What is my problem? I'm done. I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, and then I realized the next morning I woke up and went, oh, I have a fever. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, so it's like, okay, it was just me in the middle of getting sick, that I was at my weak point where I was like, all right, that's it. So I don't know. I feel like it's important to recognize those days, but then just to know that you have to keep going too, you know?
I think that's really key. Like I said, I know a lot of people, especially those last couple of years, obviously, have had a lot of days where it's like a struggle. And just realizing that that's the day, it's not necessarily your life. And you can get through that day and maybe get through another day of that. And then like your life gets better. And then you go through it again with something else. And then your life gets better and you just keep like fighting through it. And focusing on where you're going and like your mission to help other truckers build these companies, which is absolutely incredible because we need that. So that's a good thing that you're out there doing that, which is super cool. So in wrapping up, and guys, reach out. Like if you're into trucking or just you're like, she's an amazing woman, this lady. So like she's badass. So if you're, wanting to connect with other people like that and you're like that, or you want to be around people, like I said, definitely I'll have all the links and all the stuff in the show notes. But I have 3 final questions that I always ask, and then any final thoughts that you have to kind of wrap up. So number 1 is someone looking for their purpose. I find when people have a purpose, it does make it easier to get through your hard days. So if someone's looking for their purpose, what's one sentence that you could tell them that might help them?
Never give up. Just keep going on and on and on. Never give up, because your purpose is your sole purpose. And sometimes people fight that. Sorry, it's longer than 1 sentence, but yeah, don't fight that purpose.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's perfect. What is your favorite quote, or at least your favorite quote right now, and why?
I am a big Warren Buffett quote fan of be greedy when others are fearful. Like during 2020 when everybody kind of caved in and went backwards, it's like, hey, this is the time to strike when the iron's hot, right?
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Be greedy when others are fearful. And what's one word or sentence that you'd want on your gravestone?
I suppose I would say my dad would be the same person too. Say, I did it my way. She did it her way.
I like that. I could see that. That does fit. Yes.
I think I can. Right. Hey, we'll put that on there.
I love it. That's awesome. Is there anything that you would want to leave the listeners to on, success tips or anything that you just think that would be really good for audience to hear?
I think for, your audience, I know that the starfish story that you'd read, the poem and everything. And I just feel like, you do have to take it upon yourself to do something to give other people an impact, even being on social, even posting some story. You have no idea who you're really impacting when someone's really, really down with anything, and you say something positive or something that really resonates with someone. That's so important, just to get your message out and to talk with people and put it out there, because that is so impactful for just like one starfish at a time, putting that starfish back into the ocean, so that's, I think, very important.
That's so awesome. And yes, totally. So guys, make sure, like as we said at the beginning, rate, review, subscribe, take us on Instagram, follow us, all of that good stuff. And let's go out there and let's help one starfish today. And together, when we help one starfish a day or one person a day, we can actually change the world. So thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you, Angela.